freue mich, Ihnen heute eine...
I am happy to present the first K&U Special Edition Pinot from California. That's Jim Clendenen, the owner and winemaker of Au Bon Climat. You should all know him already.
Jim, thanks for coming. You just dropped off the plane. Thanks for joining us, but you seem to be pretty okay.
Fresh as a daisy, Marty.
Oh, great. Okay, super.
The idea for a special Pinot from his Au Bon Climat vineyard was born on the most important German wine fair, the Pro Wine in Düsseldorf. Jim had a booth there and was welcoming wine buyers from all over the world. After the fair, he was wondering about our seemingly special German palate, and around the discussions of our approach of Pinot, Jim came up with the idea of a special edition for the German market. Let's talk about it. Jim, in what kind of drawer do you put the Germans' taste and palate?
You know, I think the expectations of the German tasters were what surprised me in Dusseldorf. They expected my wine to be heavy. They expected it to be oaky and alcoholic. And when it wasn't, the astute tasters noticed that. But certain people that were tasting it were convinced, even in the absence of alcohol and oak, that the wines still were made that way.
Okay.
Could you describe the difference between American and European Pinot taste?
You know, the world of Pinot Noir is starting to search for the same thing, which is unfortunately bigger, more opulent, and richer in style. Historically, the German wines have been light in color and high in acidity and not very complex. The French wines have often been quite tight, quite undeveloped, and requiring years and years to open up. California wines were more open, often quite herbaceous and a little bit odd. The positive thing is we can all get more opulent fruit in our wines, the Europeans and the Californians. The sad thing is some Californians are going way too far with their opulent fruit.
Right. And Jim,
You are one of the most important pioneers of Pinot in the world. Why the hell did you choose the different Pinot?
You know, everybody can make Cabernet and Chardonnay.
That's a good answer.
Only the true masochists were approaching things like Pinot Noir and Viognier and Nebbiolo. And so I took the masochistic route.
Okay, perfect.
And Pinot Noir, when I started doing it in California, had no success whatsoever. And over the last 25 years, I think we've been able to raise the bar quite significantly.
Das stimmt. We
Europeans are proud of our terroir. Does Santa Barbara Pinot also have kind of a specific terroir character?
Our terroir is not so much soil and aspect as it is in Burgundy. Our terroir is more microclimate and challenging environments to grow grapes in. It's easy to grow, it's easy to find warm, comfortable places to grow any kind of grape in California. And instead of celebrating our sunshine, what I'm trying to do is celebrate the difficulties that you can find that produce a greater quality wine. And that's my terroir in Santa Barbara. I found north-positioned vineyards, I found high elevation, and I found cool, foggy mornings that allow us to have brighter, more European-structured, and more interesting wines, just frankly.
Yeah, okay. Lass uns mal über diesen Wein hier sprechen.
Let's talk about this special edition. What makes it different and special compared to your other Pinots?
You know, Marty, I've done some things with this wine that I would only do for you.
Okay.
So what we have is a wine that is chemically free-farmed. It's certified organic. It has been since I planted the vineyard in '98, and I know you've made a really strong change in your life towards accommodating food and drinking wine for that reason. It's not certified organically made because I'm not allowed to put sulfur in the wine and have that certification in America, though I think sulfur is both organic and essential. So we just say it's farmed organically. And then what I did was, instead of using the new Dijon clones that I'm very proud of, I selected only ancient 100-year-old California French clones to use. And so I have the original 2A Swiss clone from Waddenzell, and then I also have the Mount Eden clone that came over at the turn of the century and was planted up on Mount Eden and has been there for 50 years. And I use those to try to give a California fruitiness, which you don't often find in my wine, but a very, very, very traditional European structure.
Schön. Lass uns probieren.
Okay.
Let's taste the one.
That's pretty Sonder.
Nice nose, nice nose.
'08 for us was a very special vintage. It was a great vintage for us. It has a reputation in California of not being fantastic because there was a lot of frost.
Okay.
We fought frost more in '08 more days in 08 than the 10 years previous all combined.
Wow.
So it was a vintage that took a lot of work. We got the kind of balance in 08 that I'm looking for, a little bit less saturated and rich and soft than the 07, not quite as zingy and vibrant as the 05s, you know, maybe a little bit more like 06, tightly wound when young. It's going to age for a long time. It's a bottle of wine that will develop so much more complexity, especially at the price you have it for, which is stupefyingly inexpensive.
Yeah.
Everything else from my Au Bon Climat vineyard sells for at least €35 equivalent.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
And this one is almost half of that. And so I think you can have it both ways. You get a level of fruit that you don't normally find in my wines, the same length and focus in the finish, and it's a wine that you can drink much earlier than most of my Pinot Noirs because we bottle it after 14 months, or you can keep it and watch it evolve.
Kannst du den Geschmack beschreiben? Could you explain the taste a bit?
You know, what I like about this wine is it has a raspberry sort of bright red fruit character like you find in Chambol and in some of the villages that are more elegant. Vaughan being maybe a little bit more purple fruited, but Chambol very much red fruited. And I love the fact that that red fruit expands on the palate until the wine ends very elegantly with acidity. But not a lot of the corollary complexities, the earth and spice that you often find in my Pinots, but there's a little bit there. It's a little bit more straightforward than some of the wines, and I purposefully did that after my experience in Dusseldorf, because the more complex the wines that I made, the more earthy and spicy, the less they were associated with Burgundy, the more they were associated with flaws. Yeah. Okay. And for me, that's what Burgundy is. It's a cornucopia of wonderful terroir and flawed winemaking that really is very complex in the palate, and that's where I think my wines are also.
Okay, great, Jim. Ich bin gespannt, was Sie sagen. Mir gefällt
I'm keen on your opinion now about this pretty wine. I like it a lot. It's a juicy kind of a wine with a great length and a very nice silky finish.
Jim, thanks for coming. Great wine. Love
Thanks,
it.
Marty.